Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video. We got married after dating for 8 months. And you can say that we rushed things. We were colleagues and became friends just when we met each other. We started developing an understanding and then ended up dating. We moved in together and it was not easy at all. We discovered that we were totally different people and it was no less than a war to stay under the same roof. I was a clean freak, but she would not bother to stay in a mess and that would get on my nerves. I loved playing loud music and she would say that I was trying to deafen her. Each thing we both would do bothered the other and we ended up arguing all the time. But the arguments and fights didn't last long and we would be happy and have a great time at the end of the day. I know most of you are going to say that we should have stayed away from marriage, but once you have got feelings, you're just messed up. We would argue and disagree a lot, but we also cared and knew that we would not live without each other. It was her birthday and I could not stop myself from proposing to her. We got married a week later and things had changed a lot. We started learning from each other and accepting the way we were, which smoothed things, but that was not for long. One of us would lose the cool and things would get as messy as they were. A couple of months went by and my wife told me that she had got a job offer from a reputable company and wanted to switch. I was happy for her, and we even celebrated her success. As my wife switched her job, our office schedules changed as the duty times were not the same. This led to the least communication and almost no discussions. We would hardly see each other during the day and only got to spend time together on the weekends. An argument broke between us one day, and we were both furious. I told her that our relationship was not going to work anymore, and we would end up separating. I went on and said that we were not talking at all, and our communication was being affected, and our relationship was just not going the right way. My wife yelled at me and told me that I was jealous of her career, as she had a better job than mine and was earning more. I could not believe that and left the house. I came back the next morning. My wife kept apologizing, but I told her that it was not going to work. She first tried to convince me and then initiated the war again. She yelled and told me that the relationship was not going to work because I did not want it to work. She also said that I had definitely found a replacement and now wanted her to leave. I had no energy to fight her, so I told her that she could move out. My wife packed her stuff and left my house, telling me that I was the worst thing that ever happened to her. She went to one of her friends and then rented an apartment, and we didn't talk to each other after, except for a few texts to ask something now and then. We had not filed for divorce, as we both needed time, and that was all right with me. Almost 4 months passed like that, and then she called me one day and told me that I had to see her in a hospital and that she was sending the address. I asked her if everything was all right, and she told me that nothing was okay and I had to be there on time. When I met her in the hospital, she told me that she was there to collect her reports. I was worried and asked her what was going on, but she seemed nervous and told me that she needed my support. She then said that she had gone through pregnancy and was waiting for the reports. It was a sigh of relief for me, and I told her that it was not even possible, as we had no intimacy for months. She said that she had already done a test at home with a dipstick and it showed that she was pregnant. I got stern and told her that if she was pregnant, it was not my baby, and I left her in a fury. I could not believe that she had enough time for another relationship or whatever, and now, when she was pregnant, she needed my support. She kept texting me that it was my baby and I had to be with her, but I didn't reply. My wife kept calling me, but I did not respond to her calls. She was texting continuously and told me that I had to take responsibility. I picked up her call and told her that she should contact the baby daddy and beg for support because I was not the baby's dad and was also going to file for divorce. She told me that I was only doing that because I was scared to take responsibility. She also said that I could not divorce her as it was not about just the two of us now. I did not pick up her call after that and I blocked her number. A few days later, my mom called me and told me that I had to see her right away. I told her that I would come after my office and that she told me that she would wait. When I went to her, I could not believe that my wife was with her, and my mom was furious. She asked me how I could dump my wife like that, knowing that she was pregnant. I told her that she had already moved out months ago and was lying about me being the baby's father. My mom said that my wife had already told her that I was going to say that. She told me that my wife was going back with me and I had to take responsibility. She also said that it was the lowest of a man to dump a wife just because she was pregnant. I told my wife that she had to stop with her bullshit and left the house. I filed for divorce and my wife, of course, got notification. She showed up in my office and tried to create a scene there. She yelled that I was going to divorce her because she was expecting me and I was not ready for a baby. I told her that she needed to get out or I would call the guards to show her the way. She said that she was leaving anyway because I was not worth her time. My mom called me and told me that I was not being fair and had to take back the divorce petition. I told her that she could come over and we would talk about the matter. My mom came over that evening and I told her the whole situation. I explained how we felt like we had rushed things and needed a break. I told her that our relationship was not going smoothly at all and that it was our mutual decision to take our time before filing for divorce. I also explained how it was impossible that the baby was mine and my wife was just trying to manipulate her. My mom understood everything, and then I told her that she did not need to keep in contact with my wife. The divorce petition took longer than expected, and my wife's delivery was due in a few days. She called me and told me that she was going to apply for child support as soon as she would get discharged from the hospital. I told her that it would not be difficult for me to dodge her petition, as I was going to prove that the baby was not mine, and she would end up making a fool out of herself. She was not ready to understand at all and told me that she was not going to spare me. The divorce petition was still in process when I received a notification concerning child support. I talked to my lawyer and he told me that we could prove my wife wrong through a paternity test, and it was not a big deal at all. I called my wife and told her about the test, and she said that the baby was too young and that the tests were not healthy at all. I told her that we could get a blood sample from the hospital and she did not need to worry about the process. She hung up without saying anything. The divorce judgment was finalized and the process was over, and I could not feel lighter than that, thinking that I was a free man and she was not in my life anymore. We had already gone for the test and were waiting for the results, which were going to take almost a week. I was sure about the reports and knew that I was going to prove my ex-wife wrong. She had not contacted me after that, but I kept telling her updates just to mock her. The test reports were ready, and of course it was proved that the baby was not mine. I was able to dodge the child support application and had no issues in my life after that. My wife was pissed and took to Facebook to rant about how I had destroyed her life, and that was just another mistake of hers. I posted the test results with a caption saying that my ex-wife was looking for a baby daddy who had vanished in the air after impregnating her. NTA, OPs like this one are my favorite, and this is how you fight a psychopath who is senseless and loves to create a mess. I feel bad for OP who had to go through all that, but maybe that was because he did not take his time and propose just because it was her birthday. One should never marry if he is unsure about the relationship. NTA, OP fought back like a warrior and did not let that bitch sabotage him. The only a-hole here is OP's ex-wife, who thought that she was entitled because OP had made a mistake and married her. She needed to use her brain, as she could not easily prove wrong. Taking everything to Facebook backfired on her, and she had a taste of her own medicine. I'm a 28-year-old man, and my uncle, 55, is a religious guy, but he's also a jerk, homophobe, and I happen to be gay. It's not like I've come out to my family, but they know. I mean, I live in another country with my roomie in a house we own and a set of twins. The reason why I haven't come out like officially is because I don't have to explain my life to anyone. I live in another country, but I came back to my homeland to celebrate my great-grandmother's 100th birthday. My roomie husband, couldn't come because our babies are just months old and prefer to stay in Austria. Her party was 2 days ago and a huge party was thrown. My uncle was drinking some liqueur, so he suddenly mentioned that Mary, his wife, 35, is pregnant, and then he said, I told Mary that if this child happens to be a fag-ass, I'll disown him and I'd probably have him beheaded. Looks at me and says, you do the same, wouldn't you? A little background info. My uncle had a daughter named Catherine. She was his first child, but he never provided for her, never spent time with her. He has built houses for his mistresses, but his daughter is renting as a single mom and he doesn't help her. So I said, no, you know how I'd have my son beheaded? I'd never. If he happens to be a deadbeat who abandons a child and never provides for them, if he's a deadbeat who sees that his daughter is struggling financially with 2 kids as a single mom but does nothing to help, while building houses for mistresses that cheat on him later on. His mistresses kicked him out after he builds the house. He has built at least 3. That's how I'd disown him, just as if he happens to be as repulsive and a deadbeat as you are. A lot of his friends, his wife and children from his previous dead wife, were there. His face went red and was seemingly ashamed. My great-grandma scolded him and my grandma scolded me, so my great-grandma ended up scolding my grandma for scolding me, and it was all a mess. My parents say that as I know how he is, I should have just ignored him. The party wasn't the same from that point, so great-grandma says I did nothing wrong, but grandma says I ruined everything. I need some opinions from strangers. AITA? NTA, you were absolutely right to call him out, and extra kudos to great-grandma. It's just how he is some bullshit. And when he's saying things like, I would behead my child for being gay, that's a level well beyond assholery. That's someone should call the cops, maybe? Levels of assholery. I am so sorry you had to be a part of this conversation at all, and hardcore respect to you for taking him down a peg publicly. If I were you, I would try to stay away from him and the family members who brushed off his, I don't even want to call it a comment. NTA, so many things come to mind. Your description above reminds me of a line from Modern Family, where Cam tells Mitch that we are just a couple of golfing buddies who decided to adopt a baby from Vietnam. The whole, you know how he is, ignore him. Since you mentioned Austria, one would hope the same thing wasn't said to dismiss little Adolf's early bigotry, right? Finally, I love my great-grandma. She told off him and told off grandma. Hero award. My boyfriend's brother's birthday is this weekend, and they've planned to host a party at his mother's house, which is 2 hours away. Planning-wise, my boyfriend has taken on entertainment, music, and alcohol, drinks for the party. What I did not realize was that he would focus solely on music and ask me to handle the alcohol and drink planning. He wants to rent a jockey box and get a 15.5-gallon keg, which is fine, I think extremely excessive, and has asked me to locate a vendor and make the reservations. When I asked how he planned to pay for this, he said it was going on our shared credit card. I don't drink carbonated drinks at all, so I don't think I should be responsible for paying the $450 it costs for the keg equipment. My boyfriend forgot to bring half of the equipment with him when we traveled to his mom's home last week. So now we have too many items to fit in the trunk, along with our passengers and 2 dogs. My boyfriend's fix. Let's rent a truck, share the $400 expense, or we can drive 2 cars to haul everything over there. I said no. I don't like driving through heavy traffic to his mom's house as a passenger and hate driving there. He kept pushing, so I asked, how does this party benefit me in any way? I've taken over the planning for the keg, although I don't drink beer and I'm expected to pay half. Your friends are at least coming, so you'll be busy with them all day. What am I getting out of this? He was extremely offended and commented that it's his brother's birthday and I need to be more of a team player since it never seems like I am. I told him that the one time I place a boundary, I'm seen as not a team player, but the many times that he says no to my desires, example, we spent my birthday trip with his friends instead of going to the beach because he doesn't like large bodies of water, I have to just accept it. I started to cry. He made a comment about my tears, and I said I'm just sick and tired of always taking care of everyone and never having anyone do anything for me. I asked him to name one time he's done something for me that doesn't benefit him in any way, and he couldn't. AITA for what I said? NTA, I'm glad you stood up for yourself. Your boyfriend seems more like an entitled child than a man, and he is selfish. He made your birthday about him and is forcing you to pay for things that you don't even benefit from. Example, drinking. For somebody else's birthday. It's his brother, and he should be planning and paying for it, not you. If I were you, I would honestly rethink this relationship as it seems toxic and manipulative, and your boyfriend doesn't seem like the good person you've convinced yourself he is. NTA, if your boyfriend insists on buying a real expensive cake for his brother's birthday, despite it being completely overkill, then that's on him. If I was in his situation, I'd ask around other people going to the party to maybe chip in if they wanted to. But to expect you to go half on it is a lot, especially when he knows you aren't even going to drink any of it. Could you maybe drive just this one time to help out and get rid of the need for a truck? Yes, it'd save you guys a lot of money. Could he also just do 2 trips instead of over different days? Yes, he could. It's his fault this is even a problem for forgetting half the equipment. Sounds like he's expecting you to help out a lot when he doesn't do the same for you. Stand your ground on this one. Don't let him use the shared account. Your boyfriend is 38, and if he wants to do all of this for his brother, he should damn well be able to afford to pay for it. I don't understand him expecting you to contribute a cent. Shared finances need to be agreed upon. Stop commingling your finances with this big shot that has no money at almost 40 years old. NTA.